Hello there and welcome back to So You Pick Job Edition, where we have a look at your toolkit, how to get your jobstone, your job gauge, and how it all works. Now this time we are going to be having a look into Redmage, which uses a mixture of black and white offensive magic, sprinkling a little touch of melee combat, and you will end up with a stylish Redmage, which is the first new Caster DPS job released with the Stormblood expansion. So, all of the expansion jobs work differently to the starter classes because none of them start at level 1. They all start at different levels based on what expansion that they're from. Heaven's Ward jobs start at level 30, Stormblood jobs start at level 50, Shadowbringers are level 60, and lastly, Endwalkers start at level 70. So when you unlock the job, you're kind of thrown in at the deep end because you suddenly have a whole bunch of skills and abilities instantly at your disposal. So it can be a little bit daunting to start off with, trying to figure out what everything does and how everything fits together. So come join me and Rain as we dive into the Redmage. Now, you ready to get started, Rain? I heard you. Let's head out. Right guys, so in order to unlock the Redmage shop, you need the following. Firstly, you need to own the Stormblood expansion. And secondly, you must have a combat job at level 50 or higher. Now once you have both of those, you will come here to pick up this quest. Now the NPC isn't here for me since I've unlocked it already, but finish this quest and you will be the proud owner of the Redmage jobstone, your first rapier, and a gear coffer which holds a set of level 50 gear. Now to get the gear, make sure that you're in a city and just head into your inventory and use the coffer, which will add the gear to your armory chest. Now it's a decent set of level 50 gear. It's not the best that you can get, but it is enough to get you started in most of the content. Now to change into the Redmage shop, you'll be going into the character menu. And unlike the starter classes, you'll be equipping the rapier weapon up here in your main hand, and the jobstone will equip along with it, as the expansion jobs work a little bit differently. Now for speed, I would suggest selecting the recommended gear tab, or recommended gear button, and setting up a gear set for Redmage while you're in here. If you don't know how to do that, check the card popping up now, which will take you to my short guide on it. But if you're all sorted, congratulations, you are now an official Redmage with a full but messed up hotbar. Now personally, I would remove everything from the hotbar and start fresh, because they do tend to place stuff randomly on your bar as it throws it all at you. Now, to do that quickly, you can use the following macro, which will remove everything from that hotbar. So make sure you pick the right one. Now, here comes the fun bit. We're going to have a look at your level 50 toolkit, and we're going to have a look at your starter rotation and how it all fits together. Then we're going to jump into the level 50 to 60 stuff, have a look at your 60 rotation, and then lastly, the 60 to 70 stuff. So if you're interested in if you're not interested in the 50 stuff and you want to get to the later stuff, I will put up the time codes right now. Jump to one of those, to whichever one you prefer. Right guys, so before we jump into the basic toolkit, there's two systems for Redmage that we need to have a quick look at. Firstly, we're going to have a look at the job gauge, which for Redmage is called the balance gauge. Now your balance gauge will display the current amount of black magic points and white magic points that you have accumulated. Now you accumulate those points by using either fire, thunder, or arrow or stone. Naturally, fire and thunder will generate black magic points, and arrow and stone will generate white magic points. Now the aim of the game is to generate more than 50 points in each bar, ideally keeping them balanced, as best you can. That will then buff your melee combo into the enchanted versions. So once you've done your enchanted melee combo, you will go back to generating black and white magic points in order to jump back in and do another melee combo. Fairly straightforward. It's a nice cool little flow. So that leads us on to the other core mechanic of Redmage, which is called dual cast. Now, dual cast is a trait that you have at level 1. What that trait does is, whenever you cast a spell with a cast time, you'll be granted the dual cast buff. Now, while you're under the effect of dual cast, your next spell will have no cast time. Now, that will come into play into your main rotation because some of your magic spells have longer cast times than other spells. So if you use dual cast efficiently, you can put out a lot more damage, and it's one of the core mechanics of actually being a red mage. So that being said, we're going to jump straight into the actual toolkit itself, starting with riposte. Now riposte is the first part of your melee combo, and it has a potency of 130. Now that will be upgraded to the enchanted version if you have enough black and white mana points. In general, you will very rarely use riposte without it being enchanted. Now next up, you will get Jolt. Now Jolt will deal unexpected damage with a potency of 170. It has an additional effect of increasing both of your black mana and white mana bars by 2 points. And it also has the benefit of having a 2-second cast time, which means it is really good at generating dual cast. And next up is the Thunder. Now the Thunder is a hard-hitting black magic spell. It will deal lightning damage with a potency of 360, and it has 2 additional effects. First additional effect, it will increase your black mana bar by 6 points. And now the Thunder has a long cast time, nearly 5-second cast time, which is where your dual cast buff comes in really handy. Now the other additional effect, it will grant you 50% chance of getting the Fire Ready buff. Now that buff is used to cast your second black magic spell called the Fire. Now the Fire will deal fire damage with a potency of 300. It has the additional effect of increasing your black mana by 5 points, but it can only be executed while you are under the buff of the Fire Ready. Now next up, you get Koroko. Now Koroko is an ability which lets you rush your target, and it will deliver an attack with a potency of 130. And that has a maximum charge of 2, so you can use that twice in quick succession should you need to. Now next up, we have Verero. Now Verero is the white magic version of the Thunder. Pretty much the same, has the same cast time of 5 seconds, has the same potency of 360. However, it will increase your white magic points by 6 and will grant you a 50% chance of becoming the Stone Ready. Now the Stone is the white magic equivalent of the Fire, which will deal earth damage with a potency of 300. Has additional effect of increasing your white mana by another 5 points. But, like for Fire, it can only be executed while you are under the buff of the Stone Ready. Now next up, you will get Scatter. Now Scatter is the AoE version of Jolt, and it will deal unexpected damage with a potency of 120 to your target and all enemies nearby it. And it will increase both your black mana and white mana points by 3 points each. However, unlike Jolt, Scatter has a 5-second cast time, which is the opposite of Jolt, which only has a 2-second cast time. Now that will come into play a little bit more into your AoE rotation, which we'll go into a bit deeper later on. Next up, you get the Thunder 2. Now, the Thunder 2 is the AoE version of the Thunder, and it will deal lightning damage with a potency of 100 to your target and all enemies nearby it. And it will increase your black magic points by 7. And again, unlike the Thunder, which has a long cast time, the Thunder 2 has a short cast time. And next you get the Arrow 2, which is the white magic version of the Thunder 2, all the same properties, except it's the white mana version. And again, has a cast time of 2 seconds. And next up, I'm going to jump ahead to Zverchau. Now, Zverchau is the second part of your melee combo. It will combo off of Riposte or Enchanted Riposte, and will deliver an attack with a potency of 100. And again, you'll very rarely use Zverchau in its non-enchanted form. Always make sure it's enchanted. Now next up is Displacement. Now Displacement will deliver an attack with a potency of 130, and will also make you jump backwards away from the enemy. So be mindful of your surroundings when you use it, because you can jump off an arena if there is no barrier. At the same time, you will also unlock Engagement. Now Engagement is similar to Displacement, and it will deliver an attack with a potency of 130, again with a maximum charge of 2. However, when you use Engagement, you will not jump backwards. So your choice of whether you use Displacement or Engagement will depend entirely on what kind of fight that you're in. Sometimes it's worthwhile staying close to the enemy. In that case, you would use Engagement. If you need to jump back away from the enemy, keep some distance away, you would then use Displacement instead. It is part of your main rotation, but depends on, it's very situational. Now, next up, you will get Flèche. Now, Flèche is an instant cast. It will deliver an attack with a potency of 460. Nice, easy extra damage. Single target. Use it whenever it's off cooldown. And then lastly, at level 50, you will get Redoublement. Now, Redoublement is the third part of your melee combo. It will attack with a potency of 100. Now, if you do the whole combo, that will be boosted to 230. And again, like the other parts of your melee combo, you will very rarely use this skill without it being the enchanted version. And lastly, you have the ability called Acceleration. Now, Acceleration has a few different things going for it. It will ensure that your next the Thunder, the Arrow, or Impact will be cast immediately. That buff will last for 20 seconds. It has 2 additional effects, however. First one, it will increase the potency of Impact by 50 points. It has another additional effect of ensuring your next the Thunder or the Arrow spell that you use will trigger your the Fire or the Stone buff, respectively. Really comes in handy. Use that whenever you can. And that is your starter toolkit. So let's jump straight into the level 50 rotation. Right guys, so we've jumped out to one of the training dummies, so we're going to have a look at the starter rotation. Now your starter rotation has a kind of priority system in place. Ideally, your ultimate goal is you want to be using your short cast time spells, Jolt, the Stone and the Fire, in order to generate dual cast, which will then let you use your harder hitting spells, the Thunder and the Arrow, instantly. Straightforward. So at the start of combat, you will not obviously have Stone or Fire available to you, so you will lead off with a Jolt. Now I tend to go straight into an Arrow. It doesn't really make much difference. I tend to favour Arrow first, for no real reason. Now, I've just used Arrow, which hasn't generated a use of Stone or Fire. So then I will go back into Jolt. And then hit the opposite one to the one you've just done. So in this case will be the Thunder. And again, nothing's fire or stone hasn't popped, so you go back into Jolt. And then straight in another Thunder, which has then generated a use of fire. So instead of using Jolt again, I would use fire. Straight into Arrow. And again, nothing's popped. Stone or fire hasn't popped, so I would go straight back into a Jolt. And you keep repeating this until you reach the magic 50-50. Now at this point, you are ready to use your fully enchanted melee combo for some rather tasty damage. So you would jump in with a Core, hit them with your melee combo, like so, for the extra tasty damage. Hit them with a flash if it's available. At this point, you have a choice. You would either, if you need to stay close to the boss, you would hit them with a engagement. If you need to get some distance, you would hit them with a displacement. Now once you've picked which one you need, you would then go straight back into generating magic points with your magic spells. And then repeat the process from there. Use acceleration when it's available, and use flash when it's available, just for the extra damage. And then keep doing that till everything's dead. Right guys, so your AoE rotation has a similar concept to your single target. You'll be wanting to use your short cast time spells to generate a dual cast, to hit them with a long cast time spell instantly. So your AoE rotation is incredibly simple. Again, I tend to hit them with an arrow first, just because that's how I remember the thing. Well, hit them with an arrow 2, straight into a scatter. And again, hit them with a thunder 2. And again into a scatter. And then just repeat the process, alternating between white and black. So go arrow, scatter, thunder, scatter. And that is your basic AoE rotation. Right guys, so jumping straight into the level 50 60 toolkit. At level 52, you will get Moulinet. Now Moulinet is AoE melee move. Now it will deliver an attack with a potency of 60 to all enemies in a cone before you. And again, you'll only want to be using it when it is enchanted. Using it otherwise is an absolute DPS loss. Not really worth using it at all. Now next up, level 54, you get Vercure. Now Vercure is a healing spell for Redmage. It has a short cast of 2 seconds and it will restore your target's health points. It has a cure potency of 350, which is not really that bad. I tend to use it when I mess up. I'll cure myself, even in dungeon content. It saves the healer doing it. And it's also used at high levels for a neat little double raise trick that you can do. Very handy for higher level content. Now next up, at level 56, you will get Contra 6. Now Contra 6 is the AoE version of Flesh. Will deliver an attack with a potency of 360 to your target and all enemies nearby it. You can recast that every 45 seconds. Again, it's just extra damage. Use it whenever it's available, mostly in your AoE rotation. And then next up, level 58, you will get Embolden. Now Embolden is an ability which will increase your own magic damage dealt by 5%, and the damage dealt by your nearby party members by 5% as well, and that buff will last for 20 seconds. Now that's ideally used in your melee combo, tied with the enchanted melee combo, along with your level 60 skill, which is called Manification. Now Manification will increase both your black mana and white mana gauge by 50 points, which is essentially a free use of your single target melee rotation. Now if you pair that with embolden at the right time, you can do a good chunk of damage in one sitting. Again, used mostly with your melee combo, in tandem with your melee combo, which we'll go into a little bit deeper into your level 60 rotation. Right guys, so your level 60 rotation remains 95% the same as your level 51. Still want to be generating your white and black mana points. Now, the only addition is, once you reach 50-50, you ideally want to be using embolden before you jump in. Embolden, jump in, hit them with your melee combo, then use a engagement to stay put, straight into a manification, hit them with another melee combo, hit them with a flash, and then bounce back with a displacement, straight back into your magic point regeneration. Like so. Fairly straightforward. Obviously what that does is just use embolden and manification whenever they are both available to you, just for some extra burst damage. Always handy. The more damage you do, the better in general. Right guys, so your level 60 AoE rotation gets a couple of additions in the form of Moulinet and Contra Sixth. Now, the basic rotation remains the same. You still want to be generating points in your white mana and black mana gauges. Same concept. Arrow, scatter, thunder, scatter, and then repeat. We will repeat that up until you get a 60 points in your magic bar. Now, the reason for that is you want to be able to get 3 hits of Moulinet in one dive in. So once you have 60-60, you will be diving in with Koroko, hit them with 3 enchanted Moulinets, hit them with a Contra Sixth if it's available, and then again you have a choice. You can either stay put with an engagement, or you can bounce back with a displacement and then go straight back into your magic generation phase. Nice and straightforward. Now, there is a reason why you want to get used to using either your full single target melee rotation or your 3 hits of enhanced Moulinet for your AoE one. But we're going to delve a bit more deeper into that when we reach the level 70 stuff. So that is your level 60 rotation. Fairly straightforward. A couple of minor additions. Generally, everything else remains the same though. So we're going to jump now into the 60 to 70 toolkit. Right guys, so jumping straight into your level 60 to 70 toolkit. At level 62, you will get Jolt 2. Now Jolt 2 is a straight up upgrade to Jolt. It will replace Jolt on your hotbar automatically, so don't even need to worry about it. Now it will deal unexpected damage with a potency of 280 and still has the additional effect of increasing both your black mana and white mana points by 2. Nice and straightforward. Now next up, at level 64, you will get Veraze. Now Veraze is a raise spell, much like the healer versions. Very handy in group content. Now there is a trick to use with Veraze. If you pair it with Swift Cast from Roll Skills and Vercure, you can actually raise 2 people in very quick succession. I think 2's probably the maximum you should really be doing. The MP cost for Veraze is 2,400, so it will eat into your magic points quite severely. Well, next up, level 66, you will get Impact. Now, Impact is the straight up upgrade to Scatter. again, will replace it on your hotbar automatically. And if you're under the effect of acceleration, it will boost that potency up to 250. Now lastly, at level 68 and level 70 respectively, you will get the Flare and the Holy. Now I'm going to pair these two together because they're essentially the same, just the Flare is black magic and the Holy is white magic. Now quickly, the Flare will deal fire damage to your target and all enemies nearby it with a potency of 580 for the first enemy and 60% less for all remaining enemies. And Flare will increase your black mana gauge by 11 points when you use it, and also has a 20% chance of becoming Verfire ready, which will get you back into your magic point regeneration phase quite quickly. The Holy works exactly the same way as the Flare, except it is the white magic version. Fairly straightforward. Now, when you unlock the Flare, your job gauge will update slightly and you will get access to the mana stacks feature, which are those 3 little crystals at the bottom of the gauge. Now each time you use in one of your enchanted moves, it will generate 1 mana stack crystal. Once you've generated 3 mana stack crystals, will get you 1 use of either the Flare or the Holy. Now which one you do will depend entirely on which of your mana bars is lowest. The reason for that is if you use the Flare when your black magic is lower than your white magic, so it guarantees you a use of the fire. Likewise with the Holy, you will get a guaranteed use of the stone. Sounds a lot more complicated than it actually is. Redmage in general has a nice flow. Plus the Flare and the Holy are like badass cool moves at the best of times. Right. And that is your level 60 to 70 toolkit. Right guys, so your level 70 rotation remains again 95% the same. The only addition is you now have access to the Flare and the Holy, which are your first 2 combo finishes. Now I've skipped the magic point regeneration phase because that remains the same. However, when you come to do your melee combo, hit them with an embold, dive in, do your melee combo, all 3 parts, which will generate you a use of either the Flare or the Holy. Now pick one of them, in this case the Flare, hit them with an engagement, straight into a manification and into another melee combo, like so. Hit them with a flesh if it's available, then do the opposite one to the one you did the first time. So in this case it will be the Holy, and then do a displacement straight back into your magic point regeneration, and then rinse and repeat as often as you need to. Again, with the AoE one, you want to get it 60 points, then dive in, hit them with 3 moulinets, which will generate 3 of your mana stack crystals, and then again pick either the Flare or the Holy depending on your gauges. In this case we're going to pick the Holy because our white magic is less than our black. Hit them with one of those and then jump backwards straight back into your point regeneration with your arrow 2s, and in this case impacts, and then just repeat the process, hitting them with a Contra 6 whenever it's available, just for that extra damage. So guys, that has been our look into the basics of the Redmage. Now hopefully it has helped you out somewhat, get rid of some of the confusion and teach you a nice combat flow. Now Rin, thank you again for hanging out with us and showing us how it's done. You're welcome too. Thank you again. So thank you all for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any other questions, feel free feel free to hit me up in the comment section below, or you can catch us on Discord or in game if you can find us. I shall happily answer any questions you have. If you're new here, feel free to come hang out, come check out some of the stuff we've got going on. We would love to have you here. If you're not new here, welcome back. Thank you again for all the support. It is much appreciated. I love you all from the bottom of my heart, and you all know what's coming. Please like, share, comment, subscribe and all that jazz. And as always, we shall see you on the flip side. Bye bye.